What's up everyone, Gojin the Makai Phantom approaching ya, and last year, Squid Game 2 has officially hit Netflix. I know, time flies, feels like just a few months ago, but it was overall a very well-received follow-up to the first season, receiving favorable reviews and making it to third place in most-watched Netflix shows on the platform, only beaten by its predecessor and Wednesday. But wait, they made it political! Yeah, of course this sparked controversy. So Squid Game 2 introduced a character which so happens to be a trans person. As someone who watched the show, this character's got nothing more than a supporting role, and their overall inclusion makes a lot of sense given what the games are for and how many people participate in them. But this got the anti-woke crowd up in arms because, let's be honest, they're just social justice warriors for the right at this point, but who we're talking about in particular being none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Thequarterpounder. I felt I had to do this, as around 2019 to 2021, I went through a major anti-SJW phase that made me a bit too ideology poisoned before I came to a more balanced perspective. You know, the usual fear-mongering, like everything being woke, conservatives constantly under attack, and everyone on the left trying to get rid of free speech. But exposing myself to more people from both sides, I now understand just how fractious both of them are with special in-groups, along with their constant bids for power and wholesale demonization of the other. But when this syphilic gorilla fat reject from the island of Dr. Moro tackled a piece of media I actually have a lot to say about, I saw it as a perfect topic to cover for a video and personal development. So let's jump into Mr. You Made It Political's video and let's see if we can make a blob dance.
You just call me Blob?
And yes, I know this video dropped before the second season did, so obviously he's gonna be missing some context. But first of all, that doesn't excuse half the dumb shit he says here, given a little bit of research would have done wonders. Plus, even with this information, do you really think he'd make a different video? I thought not. So let's dive in and dissect this train wreck together. And I'm not talking about the one ran on Gina Carano, since he's more than a willing participant.
Gina and I could do an excellent on-screen romance where, like, I'm the best friend. I'm like her best friend, but I pine after her. And then she just keeps banging all these other dudes. And then I'm, like, all sad. And then she, like, realizes that I was me all along. And that she comes to, you know, and then she comes to realize it. And then we live happily ever after. Like, I think we could do that. I mean, that's what I think. I just mean, like, I think it's there. She could just keep hooking up with fit dudes, MMA dudes, and then, like, they don't make her laugh, you know? They don't get her. And then there's me. I'm just like, oh, hey, Gina. Oh, you look tired. Did you bang another dude tonight? Oh, sweet. And then, like, my heart's breaking, you know?
But first, grab a hazmat suit because we're about to wade into some serious political brain rot.
Boy, here we go.
That meme didn't just make me want to resubscribe so I can unsubscribe again. It made me question my life choices for watching this far. Good thing I don't need a fucking VPN to listen to this slop through my Raycons while I drink my brand coffee on Meta PC. And there you go. I think that's all things MC Shillings would ask you to buy, but with 100% more honesty.
Whether you watched it or not, Squid Game was a cultural phenomenon on Netflix, much in the way that, what was it, Tiger King kind of was, and I'm trying to remember other, like, wild shows that everyone was like, oh, you have to watch it. Well, whether or not you watched it, the downfall was inevitable. In fact, when they announced season 2, I was like, why are they announcing a season 2? This doesn't need a season 2.
My god, this dude is stretching harder than he does his sphincter for Ladyboy. Look, I'm not one of those dickheads who think every single open ending is sequel bait, as many still mistake Shin Godzilla and -1 for doing that.
And the humanoid creatures at the end seem almost taxed on like sequel bait more than anything else. Also kind of like 98.
But here's what separates those from Squid Game. Their endings were made to be open to interpretation while still leaving room for any possible continuations. Squid Game did not have an ambiguous ending. It just concluded with unresolved plot threads regarding the protagonist's arc, opposed to leaving a subtle mystery for the viewers to discuss and put together ourselves. But I'll let the clip show you what I'm talking about.
그래서 궁금해. 너희들이 누군지, 어떻게 사람에게 이런 짓을 할 수 있는지. 456번. 허튼 생각하지 마. 그래서 난 용서가 안 돼. 너희들이 하는 짓이. 그 비행기를 타. 그게 당신한테 좋을 거야.
Yeah, a sequel is totally just a cash grab, guys. Not that it was intended from the very start. No, this is just useless. What? No, I'm not a fat grifting piece of shit.
Just like Joker 2, you know, the movie made so much money, they felt like, oh, let's do a sequel. Well, let's not give a damn about it, and let's make it woke and garbage and crap.
I don't know about Joker 2, I just heard it's a horrible movie, and I got no desire to ever waste my time with it. But I never heard any normal person describe it as woke. Not saying it isn't, but the point I'm making is this stupid-ass ape has cried wolf so many times. When he yaps, I just hear shit-slinging and angry monkey noises.
Well, now, a new storyline in Season 2 has completely alienated not just people like you or I who are like, I'm sick of this woke crap in my television.
What's woke about it, Jeremy? Please, tell me, what's so obnoxiously progressive about it? It has a trans character who's entered the game because they were being treated poorly and wanted to go somewhere they'd be a little more accepted for their decision. Believe it or not, that actually happens. It's not always straight white men receiving discrimination from the evil SJWs looking to genocide the white race. The culture war in general fuels this hate, and you, Hassan, and the rest of the clowns are partially responsible. We've been telling anti-discrimination stories for years at this point. Take Phantom of the Opera, for example. It told one, so why can't we do it with a trans person? I mean, you'd like to do it with a trans person, but that's a whole nother story.
But the woke left are throwing tantrums too.
Fascinating how you and the woke have quite a bit in common, ain't it? Both feeding off trivial bullshit fueled by the crippling insecurity that media isn't stroking your fragile ego. But that's none of my business.
Look, I liked Squid Game. I liked it. But this season is cooked on arrival.
Oh man, just imagine how he took the news! But wait, he never covered it. Because it doesn't align with his go woke, go broke narrative.
I'm 100% not interested in anything that this show has to offer now. Like, literally none. I'm not interested at all.
Really, bro? The existence of a trans person upsets you that much? Luckily, I'm smart enough to know you're just a no-good grifter and probably hasn't even watched the predecessor. But can you really blame anybody who calls you a bigot for this? Granted, I still think you're a bigot, but that's because I'm too lazy to call you a big fat Look, us normal people, we see something like this and we're like,
oh my god, who the hell cares?
We don't do anything. We don't get excited, nor do we piss and moan like the Thequarterpounder here does. We remain neutral. If I get a special place in hell for that, so be it. I bought my ticket a long time ago.
Because of this. Park Sung-hoon, I don't know if that's a man or a woman, to be honest with you, looks like potentially a man, is playing the role of a trans individual who is competing in the games to get their gender affirming care surgery. And I'm out.
You see why I'm not being lenient on this retard? He's in no way framing this as just a possible concern, which I totally understand since this is Netflix at the end of the day. But he's bitching about a minor plot point that makes perfect sense in the situation of Squid Game. What's worse is he's acting so sure about it, nitpicking the littlest details that's ultimately pretty expected at this point. But context doesn't matter for his type. This is why the vast majority of sane individuals aren't exactly a fan. Seriously, find me somebody without some gay political bias who doesn't burst out laughing when you tell them you think TheQuarterpounder is a reliable news source.
Now, the woke left will say, "Ugh, when are you phobic?" No. I have very little free time, and I'm not going to contribute to giving it to shows that want to push trans ideology on people because I value my time.
Don't you just love how he's poisoning the well so much he labeled everyone who calls him out woke? Please, look at my videos. Look at my videos. I fucking dare you. Basically, if you think about what he's saying, he's making the claim that the show is pushing trans ideology simply for a character existing. Literally in a world where Dragon Age Veilguard exists, yet this is the standard?
Ah, shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
What are you doing?
Pulling a barb.
Oh, okay.
A barb?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune, from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crews, not good for morale, but there's not always time for big, drawn-out apologies. So, when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a barb.
I thought representation wasn't the problem. I thought we were calling out cringe agendas that ultimately have no place within the narrative and overall affect the work for the worse. Oh wait, I actually have decent media literacy and ain't some salty moron crying because a work disagrees with my subjective political opinions, nor do I get uncomfortable by the existence of other groups of people.
So Park Sung-hoon plays the role of a trans woman, biological male.
Ooh, that's some good rage bait.
In Squid Game Season 2, joining the competition to fund her, quote, gender-affirming surgery. I like how they put the her when it's a biological man.
Now let's see how he refers to Sophia Norwitz and Blair White.
This one is about the Blair White situation, her assault.
I've reached out to Jeremy and we're discussing about. I did speak to her. And she writes, for better work.
That's pretty woke of you, Jeremy. You filthy communist scum.
Remember when everyone was like, oh, South Korea's so based. South Korea's so based. Are they?
Well, for a matter of fact, they are. The reason people say this about Japan, Korea, and other Asian countries is because of the following. 1. They don't have it as much in their media. 2. When they do, the political message is usually ingrained in the work better because they aren't catering to idiots in the culture war to the same degree, which, funny enough, is something you do, Jeremy, but rules for thee, but not for me. 3. Not everything is political, you fucking jackass. Maybe they just make better media. Ever thought of that?
What do you want to bet they win?
You're an imbecile.
Does he not realize Ji-hun is still the main character? This is why I think he's just saying a bunch of buzzwords in order to get a reaction out of people. Because first, he says Squid Game didn't build up to a second season, and now he's going on about this smaller trans character like they're taking the spotlight from Ji-hun's currently incomplete arc. But go on, bet real money, Jeremy. I want to laugh in your stupid face when you're on the street sucking cock for $1. Oh wait, he'd probably like that.
What do you want to bet me right now that they win?
What do you want to bet he's getting dicked down by his wife's toy after this?
Or they'll like leave the game, or they'll be the smartest character in the game, I'm sure.
You are pulling so much out your ass by a small summary on Twitter. And to make things worse, it doesn't get any more woke in the show itself. So you can't even boast about being right in the end because your idiotic speculations prove to be just that. Hyun-ju is actually a compelling character, and her interactions with Park Young-sik and Jang Jim-ya are pretty well done. Sure, she initially stands out from the rest for obvious reasons. However, she's eventually paired with 2 people who too found her strange, but due to the serious nature of the situation they're in, they're given little choice but to team up and, by extension, share their reasons for joining the game and ultimately build a bridge. We don't even get this huge arc around a conservative family turning into radical leftists who punches everyone who misgenders Hyun-ju. Hell, even though the 2 found Hyun-ju weird on first sight, It's not like they were shown to be hateful, they simply just didn't understand why a man would want to be a woman. And it doesn't get any deeper than that first encounter. Not to mention, Hyunju isn't a Mary Sue either, as it took Jang Jim-ya to tell her to stand down before she did something that would have cost her life. So at worst, we got a mini anti-discrimination message, and it's met with a strong execution on an acting and writing perspective, which in 90% of cases is all that matters for a piece of art. Oh wait, I'm talking from a nuanced perspective. As you culture war types think, either one or the other, filthy fence-sitters and their critical thought, am I right?
Hyung Yoon is a former Special Forces soldier, and of course, a trans woman. She joins the game because she is short on money for her gender-affirming surgery. Even though she faces prejudice and tough situations, she shows incredible strength and decisiveness and natural leadership. Through her resilience, she breaks down stereotypes and shines as an inspiring character. She wins the game. She wins the game. She's gonna win it.
Caught you in 20K HDR 1200 FPS Super Nintendo iOS 49 Blu-ray Ultraviolet Radiation 1080p PlayStation 5.
Bro, you literally just used female pronouns to describe the character. You fake ass motherfucker. Look, I get having a slip of tongue, especially when you're making unscripted videos, but for the love of God, you were making it out like it was such an otherworldly thing to refer to a trans person by their preferred pronouns. So what this tells me is you're fairly used to doing this yourself. Did you not have time to tell your worthless editor to cut that shit, Mr. Busyman? It looks freaking terrible. I'm literally just trying to help you become a better grifter. Fucking listen to me!
Don't care. All the Call of Duty sponsorships in the world will not make me watch this show anymore. I've put my foot down. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not watching your crap. If you want me to watch your show, make it about the show. Don't make it about identity politics.
You're the one making it about identity politics by singling out this one character!
All right? But trans people exist. But trans people exist. But trans people exist. Okay, cool. That's fine. Yes, people with gender dysphoria do exist, and I'm not watching them on TV. I wish them the best in their life. I wish them the best in their endeavors and their journey, their mental health struggle, but I am not watching them on TV. Okay? That's the reality of it. And of course, the left is melting down.
Oh my God, Jeremy, they're just like you!
This is not how you give representation. A cis man pretending to be part of a minority group just doesn't sit right with me. Who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him? Trans is literally a man pretending to be women. That you don't see the irony of your statement is wild. A man pretending to be a woman is what transgender is. I mean, of course, this logic collapses in on itself because, you know, it's like, oh, well, okay, then no gay people can take straight roles in Hollywood.
The funny thing is, I actually agree with you. But you've got no right to be pointing out double standards when you've got your very own. You're literally up there with Hassan and Movie Blob as one of the internet's go-to examples of culture war brain rot and hypocrisy.
Oh, is that, we don't want to do that? Oh, okay, so if you're trans or gay, you get to play all the trans and gay roles, but you also get to play the straight roles. That's not how this works.
I want to concede that this critique of cast a real trans person is indeed fucking stupid. Real trans people are already a minority, and trans actors are even smaller. So imagine how hard that'd be to find in Korea, especially one with decent acting chops. Hyunju is a character who hasn't went through their transition yet, so it makes sense she'd look and sound manly. Not to mention that adds another criteria of what trans actress they'd able to hire for the role, which given the fact these are actors, that's probably even harder to find. Hell, they even confirmed they struggled to find a real trans person for the role. Plus, it's a TV show, he fits the part, get a life, you privileged little bitch.
Y'all saying they could have found a trans actor? Name a trans South Korean actor, quick! Well, because all this nonsense comes from extremely woke, extremely privileged Western liberal women. That's who's doing this.
And would you look at that? Dipshit extremists actually spitting facts when calling out other dipshit extremists.
Squid Game criticized for not casting trans actor in trans role. This is why pleasing these people, these woke activists, are just not, it's not a point. Like, first of all, Squid Game doesn't actually need a sequel. You could see 17 hours ago, most people are like, cool. You know, obviously, I'm pretty sure that this show is still going to do well on Netflix. I don't think it's going to, quote unquote, bomb. Because mostly because the left doesn't have actually any interest in standing by their morals. So they're pretending to be outraged.
Oh, the irony. It hurts.
But they're still going to watch this crap. People on the right are a little bit better. They're not always the greatest.
Nope. Knock that centrist crap off. We ain't buying it.
I mean, good. Look, again, go ahead, take your role. Have your role. I think it's, whatever. Do whatever you want. But I have zero interest at all in seeing this, watching this, supporting it with my money. And especially, like, again, just like with Joker 2, everyone's going to be very quickly reminded that there's really no reason for season 2 to exist.
Notice how he's repeating the same ad nauseum over and over and over again just to drag out his boring ass videos he puts no effort, thought, or care into. This is exactly why if you still consume his content, I pity you, because you're playing right into his filthy little grift, all because he tells you sweet little nothings you enjoy hearing. He does not respect you, he does not think highly of you, he thinks you're fucking stupid. In Jeremy's eyes, you are just a tool so he can continue to print money off his daily slop content. But we're gonna stop there because he does nothing else worth addressing from this point on. This video could have been 5 minutes minimum, and it would have been a little bit better due to not being dragged out like it is. If there's anything we've learned today, it's that TheQuartering is insecure about women having bigger dicks than him. You should avoid these culture war channels like the plague, because 90% of what they bitch about is just some nonsense boogeyman that their side is intimidated by. I primarily started this series to deconstruct / point and laugh at bad faith arguments regarding media, and anybody who isn't a brain-dead ideologue could tell you some of the most bad faith takes come from individuals within the culture war, mainly because they're too politically brain rot to actually analyze a work for what it truly is, but I digress. I'm about to teach you a valuable lesson. Typically, if it's only one side of the coin describing something as woke, it probably isn't. Now, if somebody like the Act Man, Griffin Gaming, Appa Bend, or Angry Joe is making the claim, then you should probably raise an eyebrow because even normal people are criticizing it. Dragon Age Veilguard, the Saints Row reboot, Captain Marvel, and the Disney Star Wars trilogy are all widely considered SJW slop, and that's because they actually fit the criteria for what's agreed upon to be the current meaning of the word. But anyway, that was it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to check out the social media links down below and follow us on Sakura Central for more Asian media-based content. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom, leaving the building.